Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something really specific from Mobile Suit Gundam, the origin.
Yeah, it's about Char Aznable.
But not the Char Aznable everyone knows, the Red Comet.
Exactly. We're looking at the guy whose name he took.
Right. So our mission today is to uncover the story of the original Char Aznable. Who was he really?
And we're using Yoshikazu Yasuhiko's origin manga and the OVA adaptations. They add so much background.
They really flesh out the universal century, don't they? And they drop this bombshell.
The big twist, yeah. The Char we know is actually Casval Rem Deikun, who later went by Édouard Mass.
And he essentially stole the identity of this other guy named Char Aznable.
That's the one. So today, it's all about the real Char, his life, and, well, his pretty tragic end.
Okay, let's get into it then. Who was this original Char Aznable? What do we know about him?
Well, his full name was Char Aznable, standard human male.
Right.
He died young, around UC 0074. Blonde hair, but crucially, brown eyes.
Brown eyes. Okay, that's important later, right?
Very important. Casval, or Edward, had blue eyes. Big difference.
And his family, where did he come from?
He was from Side 5, Loom, specifically a place called Colony, Texas.
Colony, Texas. You mean like cowboys?
Kind of, yeah. It was apparently a repurposed Western-themed tourist colony. His dad, Roger Aznable, was an administrator there.
An administrator of a Western town in space.
Okay. And his mom, Michelle, ran the family restaurant with Roger. So kind of a normal family life, just in space, Texas.
What was he like, this Char?
The sources paint him as pretty optimistic, enthusiastic, maybe a bit carefree, definitely different from his dad, who was more serious.
Sounds like a typical young guy.
Yeah, and he got really swept up in the Zeon ideology that was starting to spread.
Hearing Zabi's speeches and stuff.
Exactly. The whole space-noid rights, new type potential. Char bought into it. He was really eager to join the Zeon Military Academy.
Even though his dad wasn't happy about it.
Right, his father disapproved, but Char was determined.
Okay, so we have this enthusiastic pro-Zeon kid. How does Édouard Mass, Casval, enter the picture?
Well, the Maz family, Casval and his sister Artesia, needed refuge. They ended up staying with the Aznables in Texas Colony.
Hiding from the Zabi's.
Precisely. And that's when Édouard met Char. And they discovered they looked incredibly similar.
Like almost identical.
Almost identical. Same age, same build, same hair. Just the eyes were different. Char's brown, Édouard's blue.
That's kind of uncanny. Must have been strange for them.
You'd think so. They became friends, apparently, but their personalities were poles apart.
How so?
Char was all gung-ho Zeon, really open about it. Édouard, though, he was much more reserved, calculating.
Because he was secretly Casval Deikun, planning revenge.
Exactly. Driven by paranoia and that deep-seated need to get back at the Zabi's.
So this incredible resemblance combined with Char wanting to go to the academy, Casval saw an opportunity.
A huge one. This is where the identity swap happens. It's pretty clever in a dark way.
What did he do?
So Char's heading off to the academy, right? At the spaceport, Édouard manages to plant some things in Char's luggage.
Like what?
An antique pistol, some specially disguised Yukon things that would definitely get him flagged by security.
To get him detained.
Exactly. Security finds the stuff, pulls Char aside. He's going to miss his transport.
And Édouard steps in.
Like a helpful friend.
Yeah.
He suggests, hey, we look alike. Let's quickly swap clothes and IDs so you don't miss your ship. I'll sort this security mess out.
Oh, man. And Char agreed.
He did. He just wanted to get to the academy.
But there was another layer to this, a really grim one Casval didn't even know about.
Yeah, this is the brutal irony. Caecilia Zabi had already ordered Édouard Mass assassinated.
She knew he was Casval, or just saw him as a threat.
The sources imply she suspected or knew enough to want him gone. She had a bomb planted on the specific transport Édouard was booked on.
The one Char was now boarding using Édouard's name and papers.
Correct.
Yeah.
So Char Aznable, traveling as Édouard Mass, gets on the doomed ship.
While the real Édouard Mass, now dressed as Char Aznable, is safely detained because of the items he planted.
Precisely. The transport takes off and explodes. Everyone on board, including the original Char Aznable, is killed.
And the official records show Édouard Mass as deceased.
Giving Casval the perfect cover, he's now officially Char Aznable, free to enlist in the Zeon military and begin his path of revenge, undetected.
Wow. So the real Char was just collateral damage in Casval's scheme and a victim of Caecilia's plot, all because he looked like someone else.
It's incredibly tragic. He was just an idealistic kid caught between these huge, dangerous forces. His death wasn't even intended for him.
It's a really dark origin for such an iconic name, Char
It
Aznable.
absolutely is. And the organ
Mhm.
makes it clear that this stolen identity is fundamental to who the Red Comet becomes. That name carries the weight of this poor kid's stolen life.
Adds a whole layer of moral complexity right from the start. He built his legend on someone else's existence.
Yeah. So, just to recap for everyone listening, the Char Aznable we focused on today, not the famous ace pilot.
No, he's the innocent young man whose identity was taken, whose death paved the way for the Red Comet.
His tragedy was the foundation for Casval's rise.
It really changes how you might view the Red Comet, knowing this backstory from the origin.
Definitely. So, maybe something for you to think about. How does knowing the story of this original Char Aznable shift your perspective on the legend? What does it mean for a hero or anti-hero to build their entire public persona on a stolen life?
Heavy stuff to consider. A lot more layers to peel back there.
For sure. Something to mull over until our next deep dive.